For the former president, he's now distancing himself from the controversial Project 2025.
I have nothing to do with Project 2025.
That's a massive proposed overhaul of the federal government, which includes firing tens of thousands of government workers and replacing them with Trump loyalists.
Remember that whole Project 2025 thing? You know, the leftist conspiracy that Trump said he knew absolutely nothing about.
Trump posted on his social media website that he knows nothing about it.
That's out there. I haven't read it. I don't want to read it purposely. I'm not going to read it.
Well, it wasn't just some random conservative wish list. Who knew? It's a 922-page blueprint meticulously crafted by the Heritage Foundation and over 100 right-wing groups to push through policies that would make even the most hardcore MAGA supporters do a double take, as some indeed now are.
And a lot of my neighbors would vote for Trump. They walking around scared, crying, nervous. And they were forever Trumpers.
Donald Trump repeatedly denied any knowledge of Project 2025, though despite not knowing anything, he did call some of its proposals ridiculous. But now that he's president, we should ask, how much of this plan is he actually implementing?
That's out there. I haven't read it.
Well, we're going to go through its policies on immigration, the federal workforce, climate, healthcare, and foreign policy. And at the same time, we're going to see how much Trump has already executed its wish list.
They're eating the dogs.
Project 2025's demands read like a dystopian novel. Use military personnel and the National Guard to conduct immigration raids. Not just at the border, but nationwide. They want to expand expedited removal, which means deporting people without court hearings. And if that's not enough, they're pushing to terminate temporary protection status, TPS, which is for foreign nationals of a country experiencing ongoing armed conflict, an environmental disaster, or any temporary or extraordinary conditions that would prevent them from returning safely. And they want to terminate deferred action for childhood arrivals, which is for those who arrived as children and have been in the US for at least 5 years. Just to be clear, most of these are either people whom it is unsafe for them to return to their home country, or children who have only ever known the US and its culture. They grew up as Americans. This was all in Project 2025. And now, let's look at Trump's actions. He's already deployed the National Guard and military to the border. He's sanctioned countries like Colombia for refusing deportees. And he's ended DACA for new applicants while terminating TPS for over 850,000 immigrants.
I have nothing to do with Project 2025.
He's ticking off its immigration agenda one item at a time. Next up, let's look at federal workforce overhaul. Loyalty over competence.
You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christian.
Project 2025 wanted to gut the federal workforce. They pushed to revive Schedule F, which would reclassify over 50,000 federal workers as political appointees. Translation, mass firing of non-partial civil servants and replacing them with Heritage Foundation vetted loyalists, NPCs. All the way. They also wanted to privatize agencies like TSA and dismantle the Office of Personnel Management, because who needs experienced professionals, who needs meritocracy, when you can have yes men running the show? And guess what? Trump's already on it. He's signed an executive order restating Schedule F, rebranding it as Schedule Policy/Career, and he's hired Project 2025 architects like Russell Vought to key positions. So much for draining the swamp, huh?
And we are going to drain the swamp.
Just accuse your opposition of exactly what you want to do. Turning to climate change, Project 2025 wanted to withdraw from the Paris Agreement, again, repeal Inflation Reduction Act subsidies, and expand drilling into the Arctic Refuge, the Willow Project, and the Gulf of Mexico. Oh, and they don't want to stop there. They want to abolish the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration and the Office of Environmental Justice. Because who needs clean air and water when you can have oil spills and smog? Trump, meanwhile, has announced that the US will be leaving the Paris Agreement again and halted renewable energy funding. He's approved Arctic drilling and the Keystone XL pipeline. And he's rolled back over 125 environmental regulations, including methane limits. So, while the planet burns, Trump and Project 2025 are pouring gasoline onto the fire, just like what was asked for in Project 2025.
Drill, baby, drill.
Now on to the healthcare agenda, which is a full-on assault on reproductive rights. They want to ban mifepristone, a pill that can be used within the first 63 days of pregnancy to end it, defund Planned Parenthood, and eliminate Title X family planning programs. They're also pushing to criminalize mailing abortion pills and prosecute providers. So basically, in the dreams of Project 2025's America, freedom means throwing doctors in jail for providing healthcare. So how does Trump fit in with this so far? Well, he's ordered the DOJ to review mifepristone safety, a precursor to a ban, cut Title X funding, and he's restated the Global Gag Order, which prohibits foreign organizations that receive US global health assistance from providing legal abortion services on referrals. Alright, let's take a gander at foreign policy, shall we? Project 2025 wants to withdraw from the World Health Organization, the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, and the United Nations Population Fund. Well, guess what? Trump has pursued an aggressive policy of withdrawing the United States from numerous international organizations and agreements. In both of his terms, he withdrew from the World Health Organization, as well as the UN Human Rights Corps. He's cut funding to the United Nations Relief and Works Agency, and he's initiated withdrawing from the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization. Trump also withdrew from major economic agreements, including the Trans-Pacific Partnership and the OECD Global Minimum Tax Agreement. He additionally nullified US commitments under the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, and effectively paralyzed the World Trade Organization dispute resolution system by blocking judicial appointments.
That's out there. I haven't read it. I don't want to read it purposely. I'm not going to read it.
This isn't America first. This is America alone, irrelevant on the world stage. America's global influence and legacy is dying.
You're right now not in a very good position.
Last point for today. Project 2025's plan for the social safety net is brutal. They want to impose work requirements for Medicare and SNAP, which is a nutritional assistance program for low-income families to help them afford the nutritious food that's essential to their health. They're also pushing to privatize Medicare and Medicaid via premium support vouchers. Again, so much for pro-life. Once you're out the womb, good fucking luck. So, does Trump agree? Well, he's proposed Medicare work requirements and SNAP restrictions, and he's already cut Affordable Care Act funding and advertising. Oh, and by the way, when Obama implemented it, the ACA astonishingly halved the number of uninsured Americans in just 2 years and gave roughly $600 in health benefits on average to families in the bottom 40% of the income distribution. Now, it's cut. But the good news is, Trump can use that money for real estate ventures in Gaza.
God is coming to set you free, bringing the light for all to see.
So, while the average American struggles to make ends meet, the leftist conspiracy of Project 2025 is sure still just a myth, ain't it? In fact, only those with Trump derangement syndrome seem to recognize facts these days. It's pretty wild. Pretty wild. But don't worry, because while those egg prices haven't come down like Trump promised, the Gulf of Mexico is now the Gulf of America on your map.